fix my monitors that are all broken right now. Gonna put a rejoin here and reset everything. We'll see. Make sure you get your Chloe early treat. I added lifetime timers and a few other things, so make sure to check in. And we are live. Welcome to the stream, everybody. We're here, we're live, we're doing our thing. Let's see if we remember how to drive. Oh, it's not up? We can fix that. Hold on. There we go. Sorry, that should have started automatically. But I was doing some testing beforehand, so I may not have done it correctly. Sorry. You can do exclamation point welcome crew and it'll get and space your username and it'll give you some information on how many times you've entered in a few other things. I'm still working on I added all the global timers yesterday. I'm still working on, oh my god, that music is not it. Sorry chat. I added global timers, a 30-minute cooldown, a 30-minute time for early birds to get in. Hey baby, don't worry, you're gonna get your treat soon. Lifetime counters on how many times you've won the treat, how many treats she's gotten. The whole shebang. So yeah, we've made some improvements. Let me go ahead and get my early bird. No, it wasn't you. It was it's exclamation point welcome crew space your username. We'll have to test that again because I should have started automatically. I'm surprised it didn't. Alright, there's mine. I've got mine now, so we'll see who wins. Hopefully you or any other early bird that gets here. But there you go. If you do welcome crew, I think it'll tell you how many global treats she's gotten for the since we started counting, but eventually long term it'll be for the year. Oh, that's not what we wanted. That. Whoopsie. Ah, something doesn't look right here, chat, with our something is not right with our display settings. The FOV is right. Yeah, it looks like we're shifted down. Ah! No. That doesn't look right. Don't mind me, chat, while I fix a bunch of graphical issues that we're having. I'm gonna have to fix this. Something got messed up in the settings. There we go. That's much better. Okay, I was like, things aren't lining up where they're supposed to be. I'm gonna go ahead and hide the puppy cam because she is not laying in her bed. Where do I do that? Sorry, don't mind me. I'm still figuring. We're working through some things here. We're going to eventually make it so that you guys can trigger the puppy cam. Just with so you guys can trigger the puppy cam. Just with like a redeem. And then let me turn on the heart rate. And then I'm also gonna make it so you can trigger the close up of the puppy cam to see if she's there, or trigger like a big room cam to see if she's even in the room. Because sometimes she's in the room, right? And then the other thing I want to do is we're gonna add counters for me. We're gonna add counters for me for yeah, we're gonna add counters for me for like ADHD, crashes, deaths, that whole thing. I'm slowly working through things. It's just taking me a little bit longer than I've wanted to like finalize this thing because I wanted to make it to make it have a backup system, and I eventually am going to put it into its own server. Come on. And heart rate should come up. All right, there we go. Ooh, interesting. I don't know why everything just feels off right now. Maybe it's because I haven't driven in so long, but everything feels off right now. Feels like I might be too far away from the screens. I think my graphics settings just got completely hosed. Okay, I don't think I have to lift off for that one. I definitely don't have enough force feedback. Oh, too early. Too early. Yeah, that's flat. Oh, you're talking about a chip on the dog triggering when they're in the room. Oh, that's circa levels of tech. I'm not there yet, but I like the idea. Oh, we are dancing with the car today, chat. We feel good. I love it. That is a great idea. I want to add some kind of tracking. 27.72. Yeah, this is feeling good, chat. We're locked up.
You got a slow car on the right. Go
Brake too late there. Okay, we're getting better at this. I know that lap was a mess, but we were kind of trying to push boundaries there, so.
28.266.
We're really trying to push the lap here. See how much entry speed we can take in, how late our braking points can be. We're better off braking a little bit early into this hairpin, so we don't have to brake as aggressively, because if we lock up, we're going to go long. But someone can dive bomb us doing that. That's...
Car 07, just set the fastest lap. 24.8.
Holy crap. 24.83, that's insane, chat. That is insane. That is a fast lap. .2483 is a fast lap, chat. That is fast.
6.561. New fastest lap for you.
Yeah, we hit a bump and we were trying to push there. Dude, 24 is insane, chat. Holy cow. That's crazy. We're 6th fastest right now, but that guy's a whole... That guy's a whole 1.5 seconds faster than us. We're kind of in line with a lot of the lobby, though. That guy's probably like a pro or something.
Car 07, just set the fastest lap. 24.67.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Go right, left side, slow down. You got a penalty, we're cutting the cord. Clear. Left side. Clear, left side, clear. Colour's fine, no damage to report. Car right. Clear.
We're not going to talk about how dirty my racing is right now, but he tried to push me off the road. He did it to himself.
Car stops on the left.
I want to set the slap. We'll see. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish the slap, but I kind of really want to set the slap. No, we're done. Yeah, I don't know. I struggle with. I think I'm losing speed in that corner. I'm definitely losing speed in that corner, but it is what it is. It's fine. Calling out with chat with. Oh my god, I really love that. That's freaking awesome. But yeah, I added all this like auto texting and timing and backup system to it, so it'll record the history and then it does weekly backups of the history. So we'll only lose. So like if anything happened to the PC it's running on. But long term, I want to move it to a file server. So like I've got like a whole host of like plans and things for the for counters. We're gonna add a lot more counters. I'm gonna add a counter for how many treats she gets from gifted subs as well. Because she does get treats for gifted subs. I feel like I might be too tall in this car right now. That's exactly what it is. We'll fix that later with a different camera. Okay. What do you mean? No, I have a counter for the total number of times we've run this, and people have like one. I don't have like counters for the counters, not yet, but we'll see when we get there. Like I said, I want to make an ADHD one. I want like whenever I go squirrel, I might make a pun counter or something. I'm still on the fence on whether I do a pun counter because I don't say enough puns. I don't think, but if chat says enough puns, I might add it. I want a death, I want a crash counter, I want a wins counter, and then I also want, not that wins are very often, but then I also want a, like a success in FPS games counter. So, but right now I've been like working, just making sure that this like hierarchy works and everything makes sense and that the backup systems are working. Which so far they are. And I added like a recovery thing for this startup one, so. Okay, that's just a lift off, that's what that is. No, it's not a spreadsheet. It's got its own internal database that it's running. I am not doing a spreadsheet. Not like draw yet. Maybe that's stage 2, as I get to a spreadsheet of counters. But I wrote a program with its own internal counter and like lifetime variable that writes to a file, and then I back up that file and do a few other things. But it's not a spreadsheet. It could be, but it's not.
One more lap. 24.732.
Oh, I got into the 24s. I can't believe I got into the 24s, chat. I got into the 24s! How did I get into... I do not belong in the 24s, chat. I definitely have to fix my right side monitor that is a hair higher than the other 2 monitors at some point. But that's a lot of work because I've got to move the monitors and...
Chicken flag.
my first lap was better. My first lap was better. Dude, we're only 5th, chat. Holy cow, we are slow. We are only 5th fastest with a 124. Chat, how are we this... We're 7th right now, chat. This is crazy. And we got into the 124s. Oh, I just realized I didn't have my butt shaker on. I didn't have my butt shaker on. Oof. But yeah, it's not a like a really complicated, like I don't have a second server running a database. I have it all like running self-contained, but I do have an internal database that does a periodic backup. So I do like monthly backups of the entire bot, and then I do weekly backups of the database, and then I do snapshots whenever I do updates to the database, and then it'll keep like the last like 12. I think it keeps the last 6 total snapshots and the last like 12 months of data or something like that, or the last 12 snapshots of data. So it's like 3 months of data, and like 5 snapshots of like the bot, depending on how much effort I've done into it. So that's kind of the thing we've done. I made the welcome crew 30 minutes. Hi, baby. Come. In. Over here. Hey. Down. Good girl. I made it 30 minutes because like I'm not always like very popular early on. I usually like pick up people later on, so I want to give people the opportunity to get in and realize that this exists, and then later on, as we grow, hopefully we grow, I'm gonna set it back to 15 minutes, which is how I originally developed it. But that's kind of where we're gonna end up with it. We're kind of just doing our thing. I also got a lot of lurkers. Like I wish I could get the lurkers more involved, but hey, lurkers count too, right? Oh, did I tell you I figured out what the heck was the craziness with my my OBS? One of the OBS settings got screwed up, so it was trying to rescale the renders for an image that's already rendered to the right, like scaling. So it was basically double rendering each frame at 60 frames per minute or per second. I think it's funny that, you know, I don't get 60 FPS in game, but I'm streaming at 60 FPS, so at least my face comes out at 60 FPS. Also, we are going to sponsor that cube right there. That's one of those things we're going to do. We're going to sponsor that cube, and at 750 followers, we're going to give away a. The game engine right now is single CPU limited. They're working on reworking that render engine, so when they fix that, it's going to speed up significantly. Because right now, I don't think I'm graphics card capped. I could be, but I don't think I'm graphics card capped. I think I'm processor capped. Like my VRAM usage right now is only 17%, and I'm only at 54 TDP on a 5090. So yeah, double render is That's why we were getting the lag and why everything was so weird. I was like, what is going on? The other thing was it was using a second render pipeline for that too.
The estimated strength of the field is 1,146. Let's take opportunity.
Also, I fixed the alerts that you can claim for the I'm in danger or car crash. They actually work now. So I'm going to associate counters with those as well, eventually. Both with when I play the sound and when you guys do the alerts, the redeems. So that's another thing on my list of things I want to add. But like I said, I'm slowly going through things. I had to set up this timer, then I had to set up the link to the laptop downstairs so that the welcome crew would work when I'm building, or when I'm traveling. Then I set up the backup system for it. I added the historical data to this welcome crew counter. And next week, I'm probably going to start adding additional counters. And then once I'm happy with where the counters are, we're going to move it from my stream PC to my file server. And then it's, retest everything again. But the nice thing about this spot is basically like, if I move the whole folder, it should just go. I just need to set up. Alright, have a good night. Yeah, no, get your rest. Like, Oren, definitely get some sleep, get some rest. It's important. Dude!
Car approaching, hold. Clear.
Come on, man!
You've got wheel damage. Looks like one of your wheels is out of alignment. You'll have less grip out there.
Oh, that was intentional.
Your front wing is damaged. You might get understeer due to lost downforce. Your car has too much damage. We've got to fix it. That aero damage is probably slowing you along.
The second time he hit me was intentional.
You got a slow car on the right. The car in front has gone off. Car right.
Nice.
Clear. Car on your left.
I can't believe you crashed into me twice, dude. That was messed up.
Still there. Clear. Left side. Clear.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Car behind is going on. You've got wheel damage.
These people, man.
Pitboxing.
Holy cow. Well, watch those replays after. That was ridiculous.
3, 2, 1. Right here. Okay, punch it.
We're gonna save that replay and watch it after the fact because I think there's gonna be another race after this in a different series that I want to be a part of. But that was ridiculous, chat. Hey, Wolf! Make sure you get that early bird. Yeah, that guy just turned into me like I wasn't there.
To go. 31.194. That was your fastest lap of the session.
Aw, sorry, Oren. It happens. I'll give her a treat after this race. I'm still mad about it though. Like, we just got destroyed. That was your fastest lap of the session. Car on your left. Here.
Go ahead, Clint.
Clear.
Good job, Barrett. Way to take him out. Attaboy.
I don't want to talk talk about it, chat.
33.11. The leader just did a 23.512.
You suck, Vero.
Three car ahead. Just off the head. Go right. There's an incident ahead.
We traded. He did the same thing I did last time.
25.343. Five minutes to go.
Much better.
24.742. That was your fastest lap of the session.
Dancing with the wheel, chat. Dancing with it. How hurt is he? That's the question. Is he hurt enough for me to catch him?
26.843.
He doesn't have a rear wing, so we might have a chance here. He doesn't have a rear wing, so we might have a chance here.
Left side. Clear.
Damn it. Nope. I was worried about turning in with him next to me.
Alright, there's the checkered flag. Better schedule some testing. We'll get them next time.
Okay, let's look at that lap 1 replay. Who is that car in front of us? Number 7. Green empty. Freaking menace, that's what that is. He's a menace. Just turned into us like we weren't there. Just turned into us like we weren't there, right? And then... Come on, man. Like, just turned into us like we weren't there, like... I don't think they had a side view mirror. I don't think they had a side view mirror, but that was terrible, chat. We're gonna save this replay as... We're gonna say that as a report, just in case. Just in case. I'm not gonna report them. It's a D series. It's like a D licensed series. I just don't think they knew better. That just sucks because I like completely look. We didn't lose a lot of safety rating, but we lost a lot of I mean, we lost 0.9 isn't like a small amount, but It's fine. Like that was just completely unnecessary, chat. Like that's what annoys me about it. Ooh, this is in 11 minutes. When is the next one? Oh, it's every hour. Actually, that's fine. We can do this on the next hour. Actually, no, we need to do that now. We're gonna do this now. We're gonna do this now. Because the next one's not gonna line up. So if we do the Americas race next, it's gonna like be offset in a weird spot. I've never actually done this racetrack, so this is gonna be interesting. We've got 10 minutes to learn this racetrack. I'm pretty sure it's a smaller racetrack, but we've got literally 10 minutes to learn this racetrack, so this is gonna be an interesting endeavor, chat. We also gotta buy ourselves a new set of race gloves because these are starting to fall apart. I'm starting to see my finger through some of them, so we're gonna. I mean, they've been with me for like 3 or 4 years, so it's time for a new pair. We're gonna get a new pair of race gloves. We're gonna do that next month because right now I've spent too much money on hardware upgrades, hubs, a bunch of other stuff to switch dock so we could do switch Sundays again. So we've got about 10 minutes, so we need to learn this track quickly. I may have done this track. I've never done a GT3 car. I think I have done this track. Oh my god. Oh, this track is so slow. Oh, we're in so much trouble, chat. It definitely feels like ice, but separately from that, we are in so much trouble. Yeah, this track is way too small for GT3 cars. Sorry about that, just no turning with cold tires, my bad. Yeah, this is brutal, chat. This thing just won't turn. This is not a, I've done this track before, but this is not a good car for this track. These cars are too big for this track, first of all. Yeah, that turn we gotta get down into first gear.
Right side, clear on the right. Left side. Clear. Left side, clear on the left. Twenty-seven point three three three. New fast flat for you. Car on your left. Clear. Car right. Car left line. No damage to report. Clear on the right.
Who thought this was a good idea, chat?
You got a slow car on the left. Car stop on the left. Go right. 23.766. That was your fastest lap of the session. You cut the course, you've got to slow down and give up that time. Car on your left. Clear on the left. 5, 3.
Okay, chat, we figured this one out.
Right here.
This track is going to be crazy with how small it is. This track is way too small, chat, for these cars. This is going to be scary and dangerous. I think I honestly want to move that camera down just a hair because it cannot see the graphics above me. Like, it can't see the light above me. So I want to move that camera, I think, just a hair so you guys can see my wheel motion in the bottom corner. I think we're going to do that. I also owe Chloe a treat after this race, but let's do that. Let's do just that. How's that? There we go. I think that's good right there. Yeah, I think that works, chat. I think that works. I think that's a good camera because now you guys can see my hands. Ooh, okay. Chat, whoever thought this was a good idea is freaking crazy. Like this track is so small. Chat, this is terrifying, chat. This is terrifying. Yeah, I know we have to give her a treat. We're gonna give it to her after this race, or after I qualify if we have enough time. We'll see. Let's see how much time is left. Right now, chat, this track is way too small for the number of GT3s that are in here. Holy shit. I'm almost thinking starting from the pit lane will be safer, but we're probably not gonna be that fast anyway, so it doesn't matter. Alright, here we go, chat.
Here comes your third time lap. checkered flag.
Yeah, chat, this is crazy. Chloe, come. Come, baby. Come, you want a treat? Chloe, in. Sit. Slow. Hey, slow. Come, slow. Good girl. Good girl. All right. We gave her her treat. We gave her her treat. We definitely were a lot faster than we did if we hadn't like ruined that lap, chat. If we hadn't ruined that lap, I think we would have been farther forward, which would have been better for us than where we are right now. Where we are right now is going to be scary because we're right in mid-pack. And I don't like being in mid-pack, chat. It is not my jam. Let me double check something here real quick. I need to check settings. Let's check audio. That's fine. Where is our... Watch out. Watch out! Heptatics. That's what we're looking for. Is going to... What do you mean compatible wheel is not detected? There you go. One more settings here. Okay, compatible wheel is detected now. Okay, cool. Okay. I think we're good here. I think we're good here, chat. Oh, okay, this is gonna be scary for us. This track is way, way too small. Way too small, chat. Way, way too small for GT3 cars. Yes, yes, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. Yeah, I definitely gotta get a button for the pets. But yeah.
I'm in danger.
I definitely am in danger. I'm scared. I can't wait for the graphics revamp. That's gonna be huge for us, chat. This strip down here is bothering me. Yeah, we've got to adjust that. No, that's not any better. Oh, let's grid up, chat.
One left to green. Line up on the left side. Closed. Pit road is closed. The estimated strength of field is 1,916. A lot of opportunities today. Head down. Pick your battle.
I'm so scared. I am so scared. We are so in danger.
Cars to grid. Waiting on the final car to grid.
Yeah, the left side is perfect. The right side needs to go down like 2 mils.
What?
one, gridded.
I'm scared, chat. I'm scared.
One left to green.
Oh, that feels so different now. Chat, we have to get motion on this.
Get ready, going green.
Yeah, I definitely need to fix that monitor, and I need to fix the bezel protection.
Green flag, green flag. You got it, toy car on the right. Car right. Keep to the left. Clear. Let's make sure we rejoin safely. Car approaching, keep left. Clear.
No sean tan tontos, no sean tan tontos, no sean tan tontos si estamos empezando la carrera, sean así. Se dañan la puta licencia a uno con los choques, apenas estamos empezando, anden despacio, las putas ya están frías. que lo escuchen, no sean tontos y no se choquen. Aquí en el spot.
One, just in fastest lap. 18.472. 20.263. Just check your fastest lap of the session.
Mañana la verdad que carrera y que 4 minutos de reparación. No sé por qué ustedes son así. Miento. Ustedes como que son niños o que ustedes son niños.
¡Cállate ya, cojones!
Claro. No, francamente. Bueno, 4, 6, 7, de verdad no box. Por un choque estúpido. Un choque estúpido, un choque bobo, tonto. Viendo ustedes. Uy, realmente.
Ya, cállate, tú hablas mucho.
Dar un blanco con una berraca carrera para que los chicos no den la primera vuelta. Imposible, imposible, ¿entiendes?
Ya, cállate, por favor.
20.696.
Yeah, that's not fast that way.
972.
It's better the way I do it.
21.09.
Let's freaking go, chat. let me through. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Distress chat.
You're gaining on the current front to get in 1.9 seconds.
Well, that was a shit show, chat. That was a shit show. We don't need to say that replay. There was really nothing to see there. Just... we made some mistakes and it cost us. Yeah, that's Barber. And our last race of the night is going to be Formula 4 Americas, right? Oh god. Oh god. It's in Coronado. Are there even going to be any people registered? I don't... 0.03 and minus 10. Alright, well, that's not terrible. That's not terrible, chat. It's not the best, but it's not terrible. Hi, Wolf. Hope you had a good day, if you're still around. When can we register? We have to oh, that's an hour away. How many more weeks are there? Wait, how many more weeks are there? Oh, we did the wrong one first. Okay, we can technically still hit our 4 with the last 4 weeks if we skip this one, but this is an hour away. How is this not? Is there anyone even? Oh, there was actually 22 people here. Okay. It's actually a decent amount, so. Alright, we might actually do this, chat. We'll register for practice. Ends in 20 minutes, so that's perfect because we need to see what this track is like on this car. So we're gonna do that. We'll do the 11:15 race. We'll be done by midnight, get to bed, and then I've got to wake up early tomorrow, so yeah, we'll see what happens, chat. That's gonna be the goal. I know it's a Tuesday. We don't usually race on Tuesdays, but you know, whatever. Like, this track is very bumpy. I don't know how an F4 car is gonna feel on this track, given how bumpy it is. That's what I'm worried about, is how bumpy this track is. You know what? We're gonna quit and come back into this because I want to fix something real quick. I want to see if I can fix my graphics display. It would be monitor.ini. There you go. Let's open this up. Yeah, see, this got reset. Like, we should be hiding the halo because we can't see around the halo like we can in other. Yeah, all our settings got changed, chat. We do not want motion blur on our driving camera because that doesn't really happen to the real eye. We do want heat haze because that does happen. And what happened to all our settings, chat? Literally all of our settings got changed. I don't want any virtual mirrors. Oh, that's replay. Whoopsie. That's replay. That's why things got messed up. Alexa, what is a 4K resolution?
4K resolution refers to a display with about 4,000 pixels across.
Alexa, give me the exact pixel count for a 4K display.
A 4K display has 3,840 by 2,160 pixels, totaling 8,294,400 pixels.
Alexa, 2160 times 3.
2160 times 3 equals 6,480.
2,160 times 3. Alexa, 3840 times 3.
3840 times 3 equals 11,520. That's the result.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alexa, 1,065 millimeters in inches.
1,065 millimeters is 1,065 millimeters divided by 25.4 equals 41.93 inches.
Okay. That is now saved. That is now saved. Now we can go back and our display should be better. Our display should be better now, chat. I think we fixed it. Unless that was the wrong file, but that should be the right file. That should be the right file. We won't be live tomorrow, chat. We're doing a trivia once a month. So once a month we're gonna skip this. We'll have a stream on Tuesday instead of Wednesday, and this happens to be that day. So we're doing trivia tomorrow. We may do a late like Switch game stream, but probably not. I'm probably gonna be tired. We'll see. We are eventually gonna add some ambient lights. And I am scared to do this track, chat. This track seems crazy to me with as bumpy as it is. I think we want to get wide for this one so we can open this one up into this right-hander. We might be able to take that one flat. The bumpiness makes it scary, but we might be able to take that one flat.
You've got wheel damage. Your car has too much damage. We've got to fix it.
Okay.
You cut the cord. You've got to slow down and give up that time.
God, this pit road is long, chat. This is a long course. Because it's so bumpy, the grip is like oddly like there and then not there. Very bumpy, chat. Yeah, this is gonna be all about survival, chat.
No damage. Car looks clean.
If we stay wide, it's less bumpy. I feel like we might be able to take that flat, but it's so scary to dive into that flat because it's blind. I think if we do a late entry, we can take that flat, but... This complex is going to be our problem.
Car looks fine. No damage to report.
That is terrifying, chat. I don't know if I think the arrow will stick there, chat. I think if we do a late entry, the arrow will stick, but it's just so scary to go into that and commit to that. When you overheat the tires, chat, we're not gonna talk about it. We're just learning the track, it's fine. It's so bumpy though. Let's see if this holds. We're gonna see if this holds. Nope. It's too bumpy. It won't hold. We definitely have to drag brake into there. It's too bumpy. It won't hold. I mean, the tires are cold, but it's still too bumpy. Like, it's a corner that you want to take flat, but you can't. That's okay, though. That's why we're doing this, right? Because we can just reset and figure out where we're at. I wonder if it's less bumpy on the inside. I wonder if we can carry more speed on the inside. The outside is too bumpy for us to carry speed through. The outside is crazy. Yeah, the inside's definitely less bumpy. That's one of those where we're going to have to drive brakes so we can hold the inside because the inside's less bumpy. If we go outside, it's going to be way too bumpy. Okay, we want to go wider than inside. We're really pushing here, chat. We're just pushing to see how hard we can take things. Let's get a clean lap in. Let's focus on a clean lap now. So we'll just start it back just a hair. Oh, sorry. This is the one where... This is the one where... pink is the second gear section.
Practice is over. Head on in.
Alright, let's register for our race, chat. This track is a lot of fun. If we just dial it back just a hair, it's not bad. If we dial it back just a hair, it's not bad at all. Definitely a lot of fun. Register for our race. How many are registered? Hopefully there's a few. Nobody's registered yet. Oh, that's a shame. But it's still 30 minutes away, so hopefully we get there were 18 people in the last split, so I'm hoping we get one more split here, chat. We should hopefully get another split. There were 18 people, so this track is a lot of fun. Definitely have to dial it back. I'm definitely scared of doing it in traffic because of how bumpy it is. But this track is a lot of fun. Alright, now we're gonna work this like if this was real life. So we're gonna start. We're gonna start conservative. Slowly ramp up the speed. We're going to start conservative and slowly ramp up the speed. I also don't 100% remember the track, so there's that. That might just be a liftoff, chat. We might just be able to lift off through that.
You've got wheel damage.
Yeah, we definitely need to brake a little bit through there. We can't just take it flat. I was trying to see if we could take it flat, but we definitely can't take it flat, so. Hey, Quentin.
G'day.
This track is a lot of fun though, chat. I will say that.
Car 0, just set the fastest lap. 7.73.
I wonder where I'm losing speed, chat. We could look at a telemetry trace, and that would tell us, but...
Car 0, just set the fastest lap. 6.829.
doing okay, chat. Oh, wrong corner. I thought we were in a different corner. Hi Crumbly, how are you? This track is actually a lot of fun to drive in the F4. It's just really bumpy, which is kind of scary. Very bumpy. But it's actually kind of, honestly, a lot of fun to drive with the F4 because it has so much grip. In the NASCAR, it was almost impossible to drive. I got taken out in the Coronado race on Sunday for the fixed NIS when we did run this by a car that spun out here and just slid across and took me out and basically destroyed my engine. But in the F4, it's fun because it's bumpy. It's definitely like at times you have to like counter steer over the bumps to make sure your steering connects straight again. But it definitely is it's a fun track to drive other than it's a street course, and street courses are always scary. But like you can kind of like, if you make a mistake, you can recover. That's for the most part. With traffic, it's probably not going to be like that, but you know, in the F4 car, with if you make a mistake, you can recover. Now, granted, I am not very fast, so just keep that in mind. I am not very fast compared to like some of the aliens who have been in here, so. Like, I'm not slow, but I'm not terribly fast. And it's honestly not that slidey, which is why I like it. This is the turn I always confuse with a different one. It looks a lot worse than it actually feels from a driving perspective.
You've got about 5 laps of fuel.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. It's a C license series, right? And the car was really hard to drive in the fixed setup because the shocks weren't tuned to deal with the bumps. So the car was really, really out of control. And street courses with the NASCARs in general is always any kind of road course is always like kind of a crapshoot in any of the NASCARs. So. Hey, we're in the 8s. I feel like I'm losing here because I feel like people can take that segment flat. I can't. It's too bumpy.
You've got wheel damage.
We hurt the car. Ugh. I was trying to like carry as much speed around there as possible, but we're testing the limits right now.
You've got some damage. Let's get that fixed.
Can't believe I got meatballed when the car is driving fine. Oh, all good, Crumble. Subscribers and VIPs don't get ads. I'm losing time in that section as well too. I don't think this is a pit entrance, no. I always gotta remember, because that looks like the pit entrance, because you can see the yellow cone from there. The pit entrance is actually over here. We need to know where pit entrance is, because we do have a fast repair and we're probably gonna get wrecked. But welcome back from ads. Or let me know when you're back from ads. We'll give you some puppy cam while we wait. Oh, no puppy.
Boxing 10, 5, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back.
We can repair most of the damage. You'll still have minor wheel damage.
We broke the car. We were really pushing, we broke the car. But
Move it, move it.
how long until the race? Do we have enough for this to go live? I hope we do. Oh, qualifying session is about to start. We'll see. If it's an unofficial, we're just gonna back out and call it a night. If it's official, we're gonna run it. I don't know how many people. I didn't see that many people registered, but they may have been in a different segment. We had 22 the split before, 18 the split before this. I was pushing limits just to see like how hard I can push it. In the race, I'm probably gonna dial it down to 90%. We'll see, because sometimes in the heat of the moment, you know, you're trying to like squeak out that last bit. But I honestly should probably move to Super Formula, but there's too many accidents at F4 because of the is this official? It's unofficial. Ugh, okay. We're done. Let me see. Alright, Quentin, I'm backing out. It's unofficial. GG's. Yeah, it's D license for F4. It's here. I'll show you. I have a C license, but it's D license for F4, see? F4 is D license. So like a lot of people just don't understand side-by-side racing in F4, so it's kind of like a crazy. Ooh, what's ring? That starts at midnight though. That's too late. I can't start anything that starts at midnight. This was crazy. Winton and GT3s was crazy. GT4s, there's not really another car they can put in there. F4 makes sense as a D license because like you've got the A car, which is okay. So let's think about this, right? You have the A car. Actually, why don't we look at? Hold on. Let's look at. Let's turn this off. Go to this. We don't need license. We don't need eligible. But we definitely want ranked. We don't care about fixed setup. And now we are looking for where do you put there's an open wheel option, not IndyCar. License group, there we go. Our license group, right? So rookie would be either the Formula Ford 1600 or the Skippy, right? Then you have F4. Because GT4 and F4 don't really line up, right? Then after F4 you have Super Formula, Lights, which is the C series, Super Formula, which is the B series, and then you have the Mercedes League, which is the A series, right? Oh, the Formula 1600 got moved up to D rank. Oh, okay, never mind. That's interesting. I didn't know they moved the Formula Ford 1600 to D. I didn't realize that. But yeah, so the thing is, so you have Super Formula Lights, Super Formula, and then you have the A car. Right, so where are they really going to fit it? And F4 is a very, very entry level feeder series. Like it really is. Like Like it's a regional. F4 is actually a regional series, like worldwide. We don't have an official F1 series. We don't. The reason we have Super Formula, we don't have an official F1 series, is because EA has a license to that, and they have an exclusive license. So we're working with the FIA for a lot of the dirt side, or at least iRacing. I'm not working with it. iRacing is working with the FIA for a lot of the dirt side, but they're also been getting a lot of the standard tracks. And I'm hoping at some point they open it up to iRacing to have like the F1 series, but it most likely won't happen. I don't think EA gives up that license. It's just the F1 game is too arcadey. I can't play it. I've tried it. It's way too arcadey. But so in play, because the FIA can't give us F2 or F3, they gave us Super Formula, Super Formula Light, and honestly, Super Formula is probably faster than F2. If you really think about it, like the cars are probably actually like compared to F2 are probably closer to the real world. Um, so I don't know. Um, but we're slowly making the stream more interactive, so
I'm in danger.
I've got that.
I destroyed the cow! No!
I've got that. Um, yeah, they are very, very fast. And then, oh, I'm an idiot. Right here, here we go. We have this right here. This would have showed us exactly what we're looking for. Right, so F4. I don't see where Super Formula, here we go. Super Formula Light, which is a C series. Super Formula, which is a B series. Right, and then you have the GP, the GP, which is the A car, right? And then if we look at sports car is a little harder because you have your prototypes and your regular cars. But if you look at sports car, right, you've got your MX-5, which is obviously your rookie car, right? Then you've got production car challenge or the global fan effect challenge because you need to start introducing multi-class racing because you have multi-class racing, right? And you need to also do the split. You also need to do the split here. If you look at the available cars here, they do the split between like GT cars and higher aero cars, and then front wheel drive cars, right? Because the Clio is a front wheel drive car, so you have front wheel drive, and then you have GT cars. You don't go into prototypes yet, but but essentially, you have this split here, right? And then if we go back, you also have the Global Fanatec Sports Car Challenge, which is more sports car centric, right? Because you have the Caddy and the Kia, right? This is more sports car centric. The racing is a little tighter. I'm kind of mad that they took the Ford out of this. This was a lot more fun when they had the Ford in that, but so you got MX-5, right? Then you go into production, car, right? So that's your D license, these two, right? This is more of a multi-class, but it's not as big of a split in multi-class, right? Then you've got your GT4, your LMP3, which are your C license, right? Your Porsche Cup, a bunch of other stuff. Separately, you have your non-multi-class at the D license level, right? You have PCR and Mustang Challenge, right? So there's already a lot of options there at D license, right? With both multi-class and non-multi-class, right? The GR86 Cup is a D class license, right? Then from that you go to your GT4 series, which is the B class, right? Sports car, right? You also have the Porsche Cup, which is another one that's really popular, right? And then there's the Radical for the prototypes. And then from the Ferrari, I forgot about the Ferrari challenge because I don't really drive. I don't have the Ferrari, so I forgot about the Ferrari challenge. But the Ferrari challenge is a good time too, right? Then you go to your multi-class IMSA racing, right? So you have your full-length IMSA race. You have your full-length IMSA is your A license. The Endurance is the B license. Your The Michelin Pilot Challenge is the endurance. That's a C license, right? So you have the B and C endurance challenges, right? Um, but look at how much. This is new. I didn't know they added this. They added a production car endurance series. That's actually nice. So if you want to do endurance racing, you can actually start doing endurance racing really early. That's actually really, really nice. I like that they did. That's actually like that's a nice addition. That's a nice addition. I didn't realize that they had added that. But you also have the other split. You have two in the GT cars. Yeah, I didn't realize they added this. This is new. The production car endurance. I don't remember that existing when I was coming up through the ranks. But the other split you have too is you have the other reason why you have the weird license split too is you have your split between your US series, so all the IMSA based stuff, and then your European series, so like your DTM, your Global Endurance Tour, which is the equivalent of the WEC, right? This is essentially the equivalent to the WEC, right? It's the Global Endurance. You know, they're super long races. Then you have these are special off. The Cervantix is I think like a 6 week series, it's a year long schedule where I think they have like 6 races, right? Like August, September, right? For this one, and then for the DTM, that's also that also has its own like special schedule, right? Um, so so again, you have the split between the European side and the non-European side. So that's always a consideration, right? The GTE is kind of like they left this around for people who had the GTE cars. I kind of wish like I understand them keeping the series around because people paid for those cars. It just like, especially like I don't know, there is a lot of options here, and I think it kind of slims down the options for like people in the field, if that makes sense, right? And then oval is pretty straightforward, right? Oval, you have either your dirt or your regular oval, but you know, and then you have your open wheel oval. I forgot to uncheck the sport. So you have your open wheel and your non-open wheels, basically on the oval side. So, and then all the branded versions. No. This legend cars are a lot of fun. They are a ton of fun to drive. I haven't driven the new ones, but the old ones were so much fun to drive. They're like these because they're like I think they're 3/4 scale or something. I think they're like 3/4 scale. The legend cars are a lot of fun. Oh, whoopsie! Didn't mean to do that. I want to eventually. We're eventually gonna race lit like this, without my big stream cam. The resolution isn't great, but I'm planning to set up some ambient lighting and put a hood over my rig. So long term, I'm gonna race with these lights off. Ooh, thank you so much for the follow.
Thanks for the follow, dear 00 Key. Chloe just got a virtual treat.
Thank you for the follow, the rookie. This is Chloe. She's taking a nap back there. She's our stream mascot. Welcome to the stream. She typically she gets treats for subs and our early entry groups. Yes, so I'm gonna do 2 things. Part of making the stream more interactive, a couple things I have on the horizon is I want to put. Yep, you got that right. I'm gonna put a set of ambient lights around the rig, the rig. So I'll race with these lights off. Right, I'll race with. I'll keep the pedal cam on. Right, because I want you guys to be able to see my feet. Right, because the pedal cam off, you're not like. Look at how dark this is. Right, like that's not good viewing. Right, but the pedal cam on, you can because I have a separate light for that. Right, and it doesn't really shine up because that light is directed straight down. But I'm gonna put ambient lights around the rig. And hi, baby, come. You wanna say hi to the chat? Let's go say hi to chat. Come. Let me turn this back on. Ready? Come. Up. Babe. Come here. She heard the noise and she thinks she's getting a treat. This is Chloe. She's our stream mascot. So a couple, yeah, we're running. So the sim rig is a Moza R9. We do want to upgrade that to an R25. We're using P2000s with the 200 kg load cell, and heptatics. So we have heptatics on the clutch and the brake. I have one for the gas pedal, but it doesn't make sense. We have a butt kicker Pro, like the 1 pound one, for vibration. And long term, we're gonna put a seven axis motion rig on this. I just don't have the money for it right now because I had some medical stuff happen over the last like 2 years. And before we go motion, we're gonna put a flight sim setup on this as well. Because I'm a pilot and I'm also building a plane. So stream schedule, rookie, is, yeah. I mean, I know I can, but I get that already from the butt kicker. So I don't need it in the pedal because I get it from the butt kicker already. But long term, we're gonna put a full 7-axis motion system on this. I want to do ambient lighting next because I'm trying to make the stream way more interactive. Yep. But we're gonna add a flight sim to this because I want to use that to practice my instrument flying. And we're also building an airplane. So my schedule is usually we do racing on Wednesdays, but once a month I do trivia. So the 1 day a month that I do trivia, I race on Tuesdays. Hi, baby. And then Thursdays are a viewer night. Saturdays we build the airplane. Sunday we typically do the NASCAR NIS race at 6 p.m. And then after that we switch to what I call Switch Sundays, where we're trying to 100% a Switch game. The current game we're trying to 100% is, yeah, like a full airplane. Like we're building a full like 2-person airplane. We finished the wings, we finished the tail structures, all the control surfaces are done. They haven't all been attached, but they're all done. We're currently working on the fuselage. We finished the rear fuselage. We're working on the forward fuselage right now. It's all attached together. There's a link to my builder's log, although I have to upload pictures tomorrow when I get back from trivia for the last couple of builds because I've been lazy with that. Baby. I know. You want to go for a walk. And then long term, once we finish building the airplane, our Saturday stream is going to turn into a flying stream. Because I'm planning to put a Starlink in my plane, and as long as the weather is good, we're gonna flight plan, do a virtual flight, and then probably once a month, maybe twice a month, we'll go up flying on a Saturday. Because we'll have Starlink, we'll have cameras, and then I'm gonna set up a laptop in the plane. Connect to the Starlink and to stream from the plane via Starlink. So yeah, so the long-term plan is once a month to take a long flight somewhere on a Thursday night, disappear for a whole weekend, take some B-roll for YouTube, and then make YouTube video edits for that. But you guys will get to go live with me flying to wherever we're going and back, and then we're also gonna do like a sim version of the flight, probably a week before or something, just to like get an idea of what the flight's gonna be like, what the pathing's gonna be like, that kind of thing. Maybe shoot a couple approaches if I have my IFR by then. So that's a long-term plan for the stream. So what we're doing is we're slowly making the stream more interactive. So the first thing we're doing is we have a welcome crew message, where basically you can enter for free as long as you're here in the first 30 minutes. Once the stream gets a little bigger, we're gonna cut that down to 15 minutes, but for now it's 30 minutes. And there's lifetime counters associated with it and everything else. And everyone who enters, there's a random drawing, and she gets a treat at the beginning of the stream. She gets a treat for any subs currently. Subs or gift subs, she gets a treat. I don't have the counter set up for that, but we're going to set up the counters for that. We have, obviously, the redeems for the audios for when we're racing. For this one, and that one. And then I'm going to have live counters for how many times I've crashed in a day, or how many times I've crashed in a month. We're gonna have counters for we do some FPSs on Thursdays too, because it's kind of like viewer night. We kind of play whatever. Yeah, the Hadra one is great. And then so we're gonna have like live timers for that. You guys can also make me work out. We're gonna, yeah, exactly. I'm also going to have workout penalties for when races go bad, but because today, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe we do workout penalties if I die, because I'm trying to get fit. Your girl is trying to get fit. We're trying to get our summer body back. We gained a lot of weight with all the surgeries and not working out, so we're trying to get our summer body back. But yeah, that's the long-term plan is to make it all more interactive. I want to get ambient lights because we do endurance races here. So night to day, I want you guys to see the light like flow over me. Oh, you want to get down? I want you guys to be able to see the light flow over me as we go through like lighted areas, or we go from like sunshine to like places with like tree cover where you have like cloudiness, like at the Nürburgring. We might do the Nürburgring this Saturday. I've got to check. My partner wants to do the NEC, so I got to see if he can do it either Sunday morning or Saturday early. So I've got to check with him. But we're probably gonna do the NEC race this weekend. Just so you're aware. So we will be doing more sim racing, since I know you joined for the sim racing. And then the other thing I want to do is I'm gonna set up a mood light. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to set a mood light that's going to be crowd controllable. So there's going to be a couple things that are crowd controllable. The first thing that's going to be crowd controllable is being able to do this camera to check if the puppy is here. Because the puppy a lot of times will sleep here. Speaking of the puppy sleeping there. So that's her bed. So we're going to do a potential redeem where chat can check if she's sleeping there before they give her a treat or something, right? Oh my god! Lycone! Glycione? How do I say it?
Follow free Glitchone. Chloe just got a virtual treat.
Glicione? Is that how it is? Is it Italian? But depending how it goes, we're gonna make a redeem for that one and for this scene. So while the stream is live, you all can redeem and pull this up and see if we're here. This is also the workout view, so when you guys make me work out, you get to see me work out over there. My thick self, but hopefully we'll be fit soon. And then we do have a separate gaming setup, which is over here. If you look over my shoulder, that's my old. Oh, sorry. If you look over my shoulder, that's my. What is going on? Come on. Hey, you can do it. That's my old rig. We're gonna be putting that away. We'll have a white background back here, but right in that corner of that cubby hole of like the cute decorations in the back, that's going to be. Oh, I'll show you the full rig. It's crazy. That cubby hole right next to the teddy bear, that's going to be a sponsored little cubby hole in the background. So chat can, we're going to do some kind of interactive thing where chat can figure out what we put in there. Let me go to my gaming scene so you guys can have an idea. Actually, I think I have let me see this scene. Yeah, here we go. So there's that cubby hole back there. That cubby hole right there on the right, that's going to be sponsored next to the strip from my last TwitchCon badge. And normally when I'm gaming, I have that light in the background on. We've got to clean all this up. This is kind of a mess because we kind of redid the whole studio. But we're slowly working through things, slowly making things interactive. Let me show you guys the rig, the full rig. So I'm going to go off of headsets here real quick because I'm going to move the camera that looks at the pup, so you guys can get a view of the full rig, because I don't have a good camera set up to see the full rig anymore because I have it set up for the puppy cam. But, baby, come over here, rotate this way. That's the full rig there. So that's our full rig. It's triple 48s. And like I said, P2000s, an R9. We're gonna upgrade that to an R25 at some point. Couple Moza wheels. We have the Fanatec sequential and H pattern shifter because I drive NASCAR, so the H pattern makes sense. We also have obviously our paddles. We have a full button box with a Stream Deck integrated so that I can change scenes and stuff. Bunch of lighting everywhere, things like that. Let me go back to my puppy scene real quick so I can realign that up. Where's that? I just gotta line this back up. I will eventually have pictures of that whole setup, so. Out of the way. Okay, cool. That works. That's where that bed's supposed to. Okay, perfect. Yep. All right. Thank you. We made. It took me like almost a whole week. It's on my Instagram, like some of the pictures. If you like scroll back on the Instagram, you can see like I made one post where I show like the whole thing disassembled and they put back together. I'm pretty sure I posted that. I may not have, but I thought I did. But we separated the monitors from the rig in preparation for the motion system, and also because we want to set this up as a flight sim. So when we set this up as a flight sim, what we do is we're going to take this wheel off. The fact that the R9 is sticking here doesn't matter. We'll have a throttle here and a flight stick about where the shifter is, but a little bit farther back, because what we're going to do is we're going to slide the seat back. So the reason we went to this crazy monstrosity of a rig, for 3 reasons. We had a Pimax AKX, which ran great. I loved it. I love the immersion. I miss being able to like look around at mirrors and stuff. But we had a Pimax AKX. And I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with my pedal box, because I'm probably going to like move how I attach this pedal plate and do some stuff, because what I want to do is I need to put some rudder pedals on the floorboards. You can't see it, but I need to put some. Let me see if you can. Yeah, right down here in this gap, I'm trying to put some rudder pedals. So I need to do something with this. Either get rid of this plate and attach the pedals directly to the bottom plate, or slide this plate forward and slide that plate out. But yeah, that might be a little. Yeah, okay, you can see my heel toe. Okay, and then there should be a little bit more to that way. That should be right. Yep. Okay. Cool. So we were running exclusively BR, but I love my P2000s. I had to replace them once because I got one of the early versions and my fluid reservoir started to leak. I have them tuned just perfect for like a real like GT car feel and pedal feel. So they're hydraulic, which I really like. I stacked what I did with the the P1000 didn't have the same defect with the seals as the early P2000s. I haven't had a problem since I got them replaced. I like them because they're hydraulic. The only negative is you can't run them inverted. If you could run them inverted, I would have ran them inverted, but I can't run them inverted because they don't have an inversion kit for this. But just because it would be slightly more realistic. But I have the brake pedal tuned exactly for what a real world GT car feels like. So it's a 200 kilogram load cell, and I have basically the yellow spring, which is the biggest spring that they give, which is I think is like 160 kg or something like that. Sorry, the green spring, which is 160 kgs. I have that stacked with the yellow spring, which I think is either like it's like 30 or 60 or something like that. So my ratio between my light spring and my heavy spring basically will put me at about 30% of the range. So it actually puts me a little bit less. It puts me like at about 30. Yeah, like once I get to that threshold. So the pedal basically feels like a 3-stage pedal. So I don't run any preload on the spring stack. So I feel when I first step on the pedal, I feel like I have just that little bit of pickup that you have in a real car for the the upgrade kit for it is not too bad for the P1000s though, the rookie. but I have it set up so that like I have about the travel of a real world car. It's a little more than I like, but I don't want to shorten it anymore because of the way I have the spring stack set up. So I don't have preload in the spring stack. I actually have a slight gap. I actually have negative preload in the spring stack. So when I first rest my foot on the pedal, I have about like a between 2 to 5 millimeters of just like a little bit of give, and I also have that mapped as a dead zone. So when I first step on the pedal, it feels like I'm getting that pickup that you get in a real car, where you like start to where you're basically pressing the pads into the rotors, because the pads kind of bounce off with like the vibrations of the you know, the suspension and everything else. They kind of like push back. They basically back off a little bit, which is why you see real drivers tap the brake before they go into a corner, because they're trying to like pick up the brake pressure so that when they step on it, they go straight into brake pressure, right? So I have that feel in when I first put my foot on the pedal. So it's like from here to there, that little movement of my foot, not that much, but like that little movement right there is like the pedal pickup. And then I've got this like nice, like really soft pedal section right there. That is my threshold. So at the end of that threshold, I'm at like 30% brake pressure. I'm like 20 to 30% brake pressure. But I have that full range of like really light like pressure. So it makes it really easy to, one, it's how a real car works, because a real car, you start to get into the pressure and then you hit the wall, and that's where you really start to brake hard. So that's how like a real pedal feels. But two, it gives me this nice point of threshold braking that I can really like, I can really sense, and I can really play off of that. So it makes it a lot easier to, trail brake, because I can quickly get to 30%. Like, so like if I'm going into high speed corner, I struggle with high speed corners, by the way. They're one of my weaknesses. But I can easily, you know, keep it at minimal brake threshold. Yeah, well, so there's a couple things with iRacing that are interesting, right? Like, I don't know what other sims you run, but if you ran a LMU or a Assetto Corsa, you basically live at 100% brake pressure, and you let the ABS do its thing, right? Yeah, right, exactly. So that the way you drive those cars is you go to essentially 100% brake pressure, and you let the assist do the work. iRacing is always punished when you get into the assist, right? You want to be right on the edge of going into the assist. That is you maximizing your performance in iRacing, because basically what happens when you get into the assist, the way iRacing models it is very much more like a road car than a GT car. So you end up actually micro locking, and that causes heat to absorb into the surface of the tire, and it makes the tire slick, and so then you lose grip when you get into the ABS. The other thing that happens with the ABS is it's tended to be too aggressive, because it's more road car style. So when you get into the ABS, you tend to slide long into corners, right? And so they've been slowly tuning that back in the GT cars. The GT ABS. Some tracks are now getting to the point with some cars where you can like literally step on the ABS. It's still not the most efficient way to like step on the ABS, but you can now drive the GT cars stepping on the ABS a lot closer to like how they are in real life. You still don't want to do that because you're not maximizing like the effectiveness of the car if you're in the assist in iRacing still. But you know, you want to run minimal assists and just keep enough to save you if it gets like really bad. But they've been slowly working on the assist. So they did a rework I think last season. So it's been slowly getting closer to real world feel. But iRacing punishes you for being in the assist. If you get into the traction, you lose a ton of exit speed. And if you yes and no. It really depends on where it's tuned. In the fixed setups, it is hyper aggressive, because they haven't adjusted the fixed setups for the way they retuned the ABS. In open setups, you don't get that. But that's real world. That's about where you're at. Real world, you'll get at about 70% of maximum brake pressure is about where you start to get ABS. But it really depends on track conditions. If you're going over a rise or a dip, right? The suspension, how much load you have. It's really dependent on how much load you have on the tires is whether ABS kicks in or not. Like, they do a really good job of modeling that, right? So what you'll notice is, right, like if you go over a track that has a blind corner that has a crest, right? at the top of that crest, if you're on the brakes, you know, you might not get, if you're on a flat section of track or you're on like an uphill section of track, you might not get ABS until you're in 70 or 80%. But if you're coming over a crest and the suspension is dropping off, you'll get ABS at like 45 or 50%. Maybe even like lower than that, depending on how big of a drop off it is, right? Because iRacing, that's the thing about iRacing. They fully model the full suspension geometry, the full like they have like, you know, a tire model. The one thing they don't do, which I'm hoping they put in soon, is flat spots on tires. There's two things I want to see added to iRacing now that they've added rain. It's flat spots on tires. And aside from flat spots on tires, I want them to model oh god, why can't I think right now? Sorry, I'm blanking out. It's late for me. And I only slept like 4 hours last night. What do they currently not model? They don't model flat spots on tires. Yeah. But so the reason I want them to model flat spots on tires is because it'll punish people for running hyper stiff setups. There are some setup shops that basically make hyper stiff setups that in the real world would not be drivable because the driver would not physically be able to take the abuse, but because most people's rigs don't move, they crank up the stiffness super hard, super high on like on the suspension components, to have a more stable aero platform. You lose a ton of mechanical grip, but yeah. And so like a track that actually punishes that, and it punishes that because of the geometry of the track, is Detroit. So I think it's Detroit. I think Detroit. I think it's Detroit that has. There is a track that has like a little like S section, and then it has a really sharp, tight right-hander that is like uphill and then flattens out. So it's like a sharp 90. It's like turn 5 or 7 or something. And it's like you make a left, you have this short run second to like fourth gear, and then you have a tight right-hander that opens up to a really long straight, right? And that track, because it's uphill that then flattens out, the suspension drops off for you. So if you run a really like tight but shock package there, like people like to do, you'll spin out in that corner, right? So I abuse people all the time because I know how to tune shocks. So because I know how to tune shocks, I will tune that corner and I will get a great exit out of that corner compared to anyone else. And I can just be safe, let them get wiggly. I'll even give myself a little bit of space. Let them get wiggly. I'll get a good exit and I'll catch them by the end of that like straight with it's a straight with a kink. It might not be Belle Isle. It might be a different track, but it's a street course. Oh, Dowser. Listen, I'm building an airplane. I'm a pilot. I'm triple neurospicy, which is why I'm going to make an ADHD counter, because I squirrel all the time, right? So we're going to have a squirrel counter. It's one of the things we're going to add. I'm an engineer by trade. How I became an engineer, I don't know, but I'm an engineer by trade. And so like I nerd out about this stuff. Like my dad was a mechanic and my mother passed away when I was really young. You guys are going to get some lore right now. So my dad was a licensed ship captain who when my mom passed away became a mechanic. Oh, I do the same thing. I call myself a software engineer, but I have a degree in computer engineering, right? So like I think engineers should call themselves software engineer, and I call myself a software engineer not because I have a degree in computer engineering, but because I have a degree in computer engineering with a concentration in software engineering. So my degree is very evenly split. It's like 50-50 split between hardware and software. So that's the deep lore. But so my dad, when my mom passed away when I was very young. And so my dad used to be a ship captain. He used to take ships all around the world. And when she passed away, he had to stay home with me. So he became a car mechanic, because when you're a captain on a ship, at some point you had to be a mechanic beforehand when you were a deckhand and everything else coming up the ranks, right? Because you need to know how to maintain the ship. Because you're the only option out there in the middle of the ocean, right? When you gotta MacGyver something if something's broken, you know. But he became a mechanic, and since like there wasn't a lot of babysitting, and you know we weren't the richest people, he would always have me like helping him out, like handing him wrenches and handing him other things. So I became a very, very like handy girly. I'm not mad about it, but I became a very handy girly. And so so I learned how to like fix things in the house. I literally learned how to fix cars and do other things. And then when I became a teenager and got a little rebellious, I got really big into my friends. One of my boyfriends was really big into cars, but he didn't know how to do anything with cars. And so I would like do all the work on his cars. Back when I thought I liked men, that yeah, that nothing against men. I just they're not for me. But I would do all the work on his car, and so like his friends all became friends with me, and I was basically like a boy in. I was a girl, but I was a boy in the boy. And I was literally like one of the guys, kind of right. I don't even know how to describe it. Like I it's like a boy in the girl gang. Like the gay guy. Like you know what I mean? Like it's weird. Anyways. But yeah, anyways, long story short is I would hook up all of their cars, and then I was really big. Yeah, I know. Hi, Smoke. I was really big into motorcycles. So my thing was motorcycles. I loved motorcycles, and so I learned how to do racing lines and everything else. And I learned setup on motorcycles because it's so much more critical for setup on a motorcycle. You got to take into account rake and shocks matter so much more, and it's most people that are driving cars are like going in a straight line, so it's a lot less tuning until you get into like really crazy horsepower numbers. But I kind of like did the work for them because I knew how to do it. But my thing was I didn't care about going fast in a car. I cared about going fast in a bike. Now I'm older and it's too dangerous, so like I do cars and I the sim racing is perfect because like yeah I've spent probably what it would cost me to buy a Miata like or to build a Miata, like a spec Miata, like totally on my whole setup, right? At this point, and by the time I put the motion, definitely. But go race a Miata for a weekend. Go spend a weekend at a track. You're gonna spend $500 to $1,000 for the track fees, right? You're gonna spend probably $500 for tires if you're like getting a fresh set for each. If you're running like two or three sessions and you want to be competitive, you're buying tires, right? Because you're good, and you always want to have a wet set, right? So you're gonna spend somewhere between $300 and $500 between tires, depending on whether you have a qualifying set or you're rotating, your set between your qualifying and your running set, right? Hotel, food, coffee, fuel, right? Because race fuel isn't cheap, right? Assuming you have no damage, right? You're easily spending a couple grand in a weekend, right? Sure, I've spent that much on tracks and cars in. Yeah, exactly. I spent that much on tracks and cars, right? But so Smoke, I used to build drag race cars for my high school boyfriend, and then like for the friends in the group afterwards. But in the sim, I get to drive every kind of car I want. I get to drive NASCAR cars. I get to drive GT cars. I get to drive F4 cars, right? Like, don't get me wrong. Spec Miata racing is a ton of fun. I've done it before. I love it. But the money adds up so quickly, right? And like, your girlie makes money, but your girlie lives in San Diego. It's expensive out here. Like, the weather is nice, but it is expensive out here. And I've got expensive hobbies like flying an airplane and building an airplane, right? So that's why I love sim racing, because I get a lot of variety, right? And there's like not as much danger realistically, right? Like, I'm most likely not gonna hurt myself, right? uh, but yeah, Smoke. Going back to the lore, so I built a 1,000 horsepower Mustang, SN95 Mustang. That I built it as a 500 horsepower Mustang, but it was designed to be a 1,000 horsepower Mustang. And then I also built a 6-cylinder pushing 500 plus and over 600 pounds of torque. So the 6-cylinder Mustang was a 2000 that I built. I built with twin Evo 3 turbos, full suspension, a bunch of other stuff. The SN95 was a 5-liter that we had ordered a race block, but we hadn't gotten the race block. So the kid I was building it for told me to build it up in his stock block, and I'm like, okay, but we're gonna detune it down to 500 horsepower because that was already pushing the limits, because the stock blocks really shouldn't go over 400 horsepower. No. Yeah, but we had one. It just like we were waiting on like it to get machined and get shipped out, and they were like behind schedule big time. But I basically designed a turbo kit for this 95 50 Mustang. It was twin T3 T4 hybrid turbos, right? one on each side with 3-inch down pipes coming back and feeding to the back, with cutouts, full fuel system, the whole 9 yards. Back when we had tuning chips back then that piggybacked on the ECU. Now you can either get a whole ECU or you can even program the factory ECU depending on what you're doing. But I designed the turbo kit and the flow rates around 1,000 horsepower because that's what the kid wanted. The kid wanted to make 1,000 horsepower, right? But the stock block I knew wouldn't hold that. A stock 95, like a stock 50 V8, like the SN95 V8, like a 302, this block itself is not good for more than about 400 horsepower boosted. But he got tired of waiting, and the person who was building the machine shop who he made the agreement with to build the block was taking forever and whatnot, and it was just ridiculous. So finally he said, you know what, build me the engine and the stock internals. And I'm like, you're risking the internals. I'm gonna have to detune it. It's not gonna be, we're gonna be right at the edge of the bottom half of the efficiency curve for the turbos, right? Because again, I designed the flow rate for 1,000 horsepower, right? Which is why I went with T3, T4 hybrids. I wanted to get a quick spool, but I wanted each turbo by itself to be able to support about 400 to 500 horsepower easily, right? Right at peak efficiency, right? But long story short, I detuned it to 500, 450. I detuned it to 450, but if it got cold, it would go up to 500, right? The kid takes it a week later to a buddy of mine, to a dyno shop that I knew the owner of, because I would take all my friends would go to this dyno shop, and he didn't know that I knew the owner. And he tells the owner, hey, I need this tuned up. It's supposed to do 1,000 horsepower, but I don't have a tune or whatever, right? And my friend calls me and he's like, hey, this kid wants to tune this car up to 1,000. I'm looking at the setup and I think you worked on it and I know it's good to 1,000, but why did you tune it to 450? And so I'm like, listen, it's a stock block. You were supposed to get a billet block and it's a stock block, so that's why I detuned it, right? To not blow up the internals. And I'm like, I mean, your business is with him. I just know if you tune that up, you're gonna destroy that block. I would warn him, but you do you. And if you do tune it up, send me the dyno sheet. So the guy was like, yeah, no. The guy is like, I understand that you can risk it. I don't care. I want it tuned. So he paid my friend who owned the dyno shop to tune it, and it did 987, and the torque number was something crazy. It was somewhere around almost 700 pounds of torque, somewhere around there. It might have been 712. I don't remember exactly the number, but I remember the horsepower was 987. And I remember my friend who owned the dyno shop sent me the dyno sheet afterwards. And this kid calls me a week after he got it tuned, and he's like, I don't understand what's going on. The car is smoking, and whatever, this and that. And so I'm like, oh, bring it by. I played dumb. I'm like, oh, bring it by. We'll take a look at it. We'll see what's going on, right? Oh, wait till I tell you how bad it actually didn't destroy itself. But I'll tell you what the block completely destroyed itself, but it actually didn't destroy the internals. The internals were actually still salvageable. But so he pulls up to my shop, right? And it's smoking. It doesn't sound great, I know it's hurt, right? And I'm wondering how much damage he did, right? So the minute he gets out of the car, I'm like, so how much did it do? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, how much horsepower did it do? You got to tune, didn't you? After I told you don't tune it up or you're going to blow the engine, right? He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I pulled out the dyno sheet that had the number, and I'm just like, 987, right? Without road cooling, right? That was a 1,000 horsepower car easily, because when you're on the road, you get cooling to the intercooler, and it cools the charge air. And we were planning to put an alcohol water injection kit on it as well to cool the charge air. But yeah, but I had, and then he was like, oh yeah, whatever, I did. I'm like, well, let's see how bad you blew this thing up, right? We do a compression check. Compression's not good. It's not sounding good. You know, things are not good. I start disassembly. You know, we pull the turbos. We pull the upper manifold. When I pull the lower manifold, right? When I pull the lower manifold, there is a crack from the front of the lifter valley to the back of the lifter valley. Okay? I'm like, well, your block is toast. You're gonna have to pay me again to rebuild this, cause like I told you, don't tune it. You didn't listen. But let's pull the engine and let's see how bad it is, and let's see what the internals look like, right? So I ended up fully pulling the engine, fully stripping it down. So basically, the crack went. Imagine the front of the engine, right? It went from one of the mains up to the cam. Restarted at the top of the cam, all the way across the lifter valley. Did the same thing at the back of the cam and split to the opposite main. So the crack literally did like this and to the opposite back corner. But surprisingly, oh, the block was completely shot. Surprisingly, when I pulled the pistons and I pulled the rods, like the rods weren't bent. The pistons had very, very minimal scraping. I don't know how the like. Well, it didn't spin a bearing, right? It didn't spin a bearing. Which if it had spun a bearing, it would have been completely done. But, and I think that's what saved it. It didn't spin a bearing, and I built it for low compression because we were gonna go big boost numbers. And I think that's what saved it. If that had been a high compression motor, we built it like I think we built it either 8-to-1 or 8.5-to-1. And because we built it low compression, it didn't smack the heads with the pistons. And I think that's what saved it. And those heads, we fully we port matched those heads. Like we spent the time on that engine, on all the components for the engine and prep for the block. I ended up not building it for him. I don't know if he ended up getting rebuilt it or if he parted it out. Because I don't know if he ever got the block back. But you know, I took it apart and everything everything spec'd out, everything measured out, everything looked okay. You know, we took you know, we took then we magnaflux and looked for cracks and nothing was cracked. Everything dialed out kind of okay. Like everything was within spec when it dialed out, right? You know, so he could have probably rebuilt it. I don't know if he did or he didn't because I kind of stopped working on cars at that point because then I went to a college. 1000%. But you know, you can't fix stupid, right? The other interesting thing was the 2000 Mustang that I built. So it was a V6 2000 that we stripped out, super light. We put a GT rear. We put a GT differential in the back, and that had twin Evo 3 turbos that we mounted in front of the engine with the we mounted the turbos in front of the engine facing out, so like the intakes were outside. So we had K&N filters inside of the wheel well, so it basically got free cold air that we sealed off, and then the downpipes would come down and around to the back under the headers. Like they kind of looped and went around to the back. That car did a little over 500. It did like that car did like 4 and change, like around 450 horsepower and a little over 500 pounds of torque. I want to say that was, I don't remember the number, but it was something like 517 or 516 or something like that. And it was super light. But that car was crazy because that car I did a fully built T5 with like hardened internals, no, yeah, Smoke. I'm talking about like late 90s, early 2000s, right? And the car was gutted, so the car was not heavy, right? But that car used to take, right? That car used to take, and it's a V6, right? Think about that too. It's a V6, right? And it was built on a budget, right? Because he didn't have money for internals or anything else, so it was built on a budget. That car we used to take 600s from a dead stop. Like we can take a 600 motorcycle from a dead stop and gear it out. You know, it would get the jump on us, but the minute we were in traction and the boost built up, we were gone. We were walking 600s. And we were eating like that car only lost 2 races. Sorry, no, it only lost 3 races. It lost a race to a Supra pushing 1,000 plus with like an 80 like either an 86 or an 80 millimeter turbo from a guy who owned a speed shop that specialized in Supras. That car was nasty. That Supra was nasty. And the thing about the 3.6 is it would keep up with the Supra until the Supra got to 6th gear, and then 6th gear would happen, and then the car had a nice we replaced all the metal panels with a body kit, but the body kit was fiberglass, so it flexed because it was like super light. So the front bumper would flex a little bit, because it was designed as a pretty body kit. It wasn't designed as a functional aero body kit. But like when we would get over like 170, 180, the front bumper would start to flex and the car would start to get light and start to roll with the flex. That was scary. And we never went that fast typically, but against that Supra we did. Oh yeah, I mean Fox body. Yeah, so imagine a 2000 Mustang as light as a stock Fox body. Not a gutted Fox body, because Fox bodies get super light. But that gutted 2000 was about as heavy as a Fox body, as a stock Fox body. But yeah, no, that thing was that car was like, it was light, it was fast, but I actually racing a 750. I actually like snapped I snapped the transmission between second and third. And I somehow didn't destroy the transmission because the gears, when the transmission snapped, the gears kind of just fell in a way where they didn't touch anything. And I don't know how. I still, to this day, I don't know how that happened. But that transmission was supposed to support 1,000 horsepower. We were racing, it was that 2000 Mustang. I was driving it and we were racing a 750. It was a no sticker bike that was claiming it was a 600 that we were racing, and I turned up the boost to like to max, because you know he seemed a little iffy, and I snapped the input shaft between second and third, and somehow we didn't destroy the transmission, and I limped it. I didn't limp it home. The owner of the car limped it home in first gear when I told him he shouldn't be driving it because it had no third or fourth, right? But yeah, no, it was that car was nasty. Oh, actually, that was the time we snapped. The time I snapped that input shaft on the car. It was one of the few times I drove that car because I usually didn't drive it. But we had just put Mickey Townsend ET Streets on it, like so dot slicks, you know, and that's I think just the shock load of like the turbos hitting between gears at the aggressive boost cut, because we were kind of like trying to keep boost. With the ET Streets, we split on the change from first to gear, the shock load. I think just the way they hooked, we snapped the transmission. But that transmission was supposed to hold 1,000 horsepower. But I just don't think it was. I honestly think that shaft just had a manufacturing defect, or just like an inclusion in it, and it just happened to split because it wasn't supposed to split. Like we got the transmission replaced for free, because the owner of the transmission shop was a really good friend of mine, and he had guaranteed that transmission to 1,000 horsepower. And like I think he guaranteed it to like 1,000 horsepower and like 700 pounds of torque or something like that. And we were doing a little over 500 pounds of torque and slightly under 500 horsepower. But yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, we snapped. I snapped that transmission in half, basically. But it was the first time we ran that car with the slicks, and the owner, who was like my best friend growing up, he had never driven slicks before. So racing that bike, I'm like, it was like the first night out. I'm like, I'll drive it, and it hooked up so good, but I had to pedal it a little bit in first, like right off the line when the boost kicked in. But then it just hooked up, and then first to second, it just done. But anyways, enough war stories from back when I was a like a 20-something young, cute, hot thing who wasn't scared to get my hands dirty. Go figure, I ended up being a lesbian. Are you surprised? My parents, my dad and my cousin say there were no signs, but I'm like, hello, what were my interests? But chat, there were no signs. And all my friends were like, in hindsight, all of my girlfriends were either out lesbians or closeted lesbians from high school. Like my group of friends, like they all ended up being either like either they were out. There was a few that were out. Like it wasn't that common like in the late '90s, early 2000s, but there were a few, and I was friends with all of them. And a lot of like the femme like closet like my femme girlfriends who were like straight allegedly, they all have wives and girlfriends now, and I'm like, if I knew you were into girls, like we would have like hooked, you know. Well, there was a handful of softball players, but it was I had a couple that were in band, a couple friends that were in that were soccer players. Oh my god, legs on soccer players. Uh, but yes, there were a few that were softball players. Um, yeah, there was 3 or 4 that were softball players, but there was a few that were like on the dance squad. One of them was a ballerina. Um, but yeah, no, yeah, I don't feel them in band. But again, girl lore, there were no signs. Um, anyways, I've got to work tomorrow. We are not going to be streaming tomorrow, like I said, because we're going to do trivia. We do trivia once a night with one of my girlfriends, so we're going to do trivia tomorrow. No, I'm single AF. I was dating someone back before the last election through COVID and stuff, and after the election, she moved to Amsterdam, and I'm kind of like locked in here because of like my job and what I do, and so that kind of so I've been single since then. And then I've had some medical issues that have happened since then. So no, I'm not married. I'm trying to get my fit body back and trying to find a wife. We're on the hunt. We're looking. Um, but, but yeah, no. I will. So like I said, no stream tomorrow. Thursday we're gonna do our typical viewer request night. We're probably gonna do some Arc Raiders to check out the new. We're probably gonna check out the new patch in Arc Raiders or play something else. Oh yeah, for sure. That's why I have to get out and about, you know, because if I don't get out, I'm never gonna find someone. That's why I don't stream on Fridays, because Fridays I go out dancing, once a week. Once a week it's like you know, recovery time for me, and then the other week it's dancing. Um, but uh, but yeah, and yeah, I usually like so I have season tickets to the women's soccer team over here. So sometimes my stream schedule, we skip a day if like there's a soccer game on there. Like, not this week, but the next 2 weeks. I think they're Friday games actually. The 14th and I think the 21st are Friday, so they won't impact our stream schedule. But like sometimes there's soccer games on Saturdays or Sundays. So if there's a soccer game on Saturday or Sunday and it's a home game, I obviously won't. My stream schedule will get thrown off. That's why we didn't do a NASCAR race last week because there was a soccer game on this Sunday, which is why we went just straight into stream Sundays. Um, Listen, like most things in life, you know, you get out of it what you put in, but it's a partnership. And the thing with relationships that makes them hard is like if you're in a healthy relationship, you're both growing. And if you're both growing, sometimes you don't grow in the same direction, right? You know, that's just a life fact. Like relationships are like the way I view relationships is a lot like a book or a series of books, right? There are characters who have a cameo. There are characters who are like an anecdote. There are characters who have like are in the entire series start to finish. Typically that'll be you. There are characters who are a chapter, you know? So like that's kind of how life is, right? Like I don't know. I never want to stop growing. I want someone that will challenge me to keep growing. You know, there are ways to account for that, Smoke, but you know, both parties have to be on the same page for closing that gap, right? It doesn't mean you guys have to have the same interests or be identical or anything else, you know? Like I think a healthy relationship, each party has their own individual interests, but they take joy in watching the other person grow and helping the other person grow and in each other's company, right? That's my view on it. Um, yeah, but the other thing that happens too, Smoke, with kids is, and I'm a person who really wants kids, but I've never had a like healthy enough relationship to have kids, and I'm kind of at the age now where the only way I'm having kids is if I date someone younger than me. Just I'm too old at this point, so um, um, but but the thing that happens with kids is when you have a kid, the kid becomes the center of the relationship, and when the kid becomes the center of the relationship, like it kind of creates a natural distance, and it adds a lot of pressure to the relationship too, because it's like, you know, a kid is a big responsibility and it's a lot to like take care of and handle and deal with, you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, your relationship is not going to be the same while that kid is living with you, because it's like you guys don't have the time to have a cute date night and to like, you know, you should still do those things, but you know, a lot of people prioritize the kid above all else. And it puts a lot of pressure on relationships. I think like honestly a good like healthy relationship will with kids is you still prioritize the relationship as an example for the kid. Yeah, and it's hard too, right? When like I'm very empathetic, and I always like I'm friends with a lot of my exes because like I'm able to put myself in their shoes and view things from their perspective, and understand why like things happen a certain way for the most part. And so like I am an adult. I'm adult enough and I'm mature enough that I can put myself in other people's shoes and relate to understand why they viewed something a certain way, and not hold it against them because that's their experience, and who am I to invalidate their experience, right? And sometimes, you know, like two people just don't work, right? Like you might have chemistry, there might be physical things, but like, you know, like you know, I you need to have physical attraction, you need to have emotional, you know, emotional compatibility, and you have to put in the, you know, you have to like, I think you have to like, you know, drive each other to grow, and have the best interest of the other person at heart. And sometimes that gets lost, right? You know, and it doesn't mean that, you know, you're a bad person or they're a bad person. It's just, you know, sometimes like you drift apart or interests change or you grow and you realize as you grow, hey, this person I was is not who I am today, and that just doesn't jive with what the other person is expecting, right? You know, um, I'm always torn with like, you know, when there's kids involved, because it's like I don't think it's necessarily healthy to like stay together if you're not happy, but also but like, you know what I mean. That also depends on the maturity of the couple, right? Because like there are people who can co-parent and there are people who can't, right? Um, but again, you know, that's one of those topics that it's like it's a big thing that I put a lot of value into having kids, and I've never had a kid, which sucks. Exactly, rookie. That's exactly it, right? Like it turns into animosity, right? Right, and it depends on how the other person would handle that separation, right? You know what I mean, Smoke? Like leaving the relationship doesn't mean you're leaving the child, right? You know, and it sucks that you're going through that. It really does, you know. But it also depends on the you are the one in the relationship. You understand the dynamics of the other person and how they'll handle it. You know, so um, but yeah, it's one of those things. As you know, if you're growing, if you're pushing each other to grow, you guys may not grow in the same direction, right? And that's just one of those things, right? You know, unfortunately, um, that sucks about life, you know. But that's why, like, I think that's why I haven't had a kid yet, and I think it's why I'm not in a relationship, is because I refuse to, because I want kids. I refuse to settle because I want to make sure that, you know, that I'm in a healthy relationship that will be a good example for the kid I raise. And you know, I don't know, you know, I just haven't been lucky enough to have found that. It's also hard in the lesbian community. We're really small, The lesbian community is about, somewhere between 1 and 5% of the population. And so because the lesbian community is so small, um, within an area, a lot of people have all dated each other. Um, which is why you hear a lot of that. Which is why kind of like there's a trope of like long distance and lesbian relationships and U-hauling is such a trope because the community is so small that like within like your city area, your regular like bubble, most people are like the friends group overlap, and it's like if you ever like get into a new friend group, it's like you're checking with your girlfriends. Hey, you haven't slept with any of these people, right? Or if you have, like, I want to know. I don't want to like get with someone and step on any toes, right? I'm not looking for drama, right? So like, but that's one of those things that happens in the lesbian community just because it's so small, right? Because we're sadly like the sapphic. So I don't know anyone's gender here, but like there's the sapphic community, which I think is which I consider lesbians, bisexual women, and then the trans spectrum of female identifying women or non-binary female adjacent women, right? So the sapphic spectrum is a bigger bubble, right? But yeah, I figured smoke with the interesting cards, um, but what ends up happening is in the sapphic community, most of the bisexual women, yeah, that's always hard, rookie. And it's one of those deal breakers where it's like and the thing about that, right, is like it's like that's one of those things you talk about early in the relationship and you make a decision on whether or not you're okay with that. And sometimes people will change their minds, but you can't be mad if they say if they don't change their minds, right? You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, in the sapphic community, what ends up happening is it's actually a bigger bubble if you include bisexual women. But what ends up happening is a lot of bisexual women, unfortunately, don't want to deal with the negative stigma that dating women comes with. Even in a liberal like area like California and everything else, there's a lot of like family pressure and other things that come with exclusively dating women or with even having like an out girlfriend. So so a lot of bisexual women end up with men for two reasons. One, they want kids, and two, they can kind of like keep it hidden in a way, right? And so women become more of for bisexual women become more of like what you see a lot actually in the bisexual community is you see a lot of bisexual women who will be married into their late 30s, maybe early 40s. They'll have some kids, and they'll realize after they have the kids that, yeah, no, this is not what I want. And then later in life, when they don't give a fuck anymore and they've already had the kids, they'll become lesbians, or they'll become out, or they'll get into female relationships in an older age, right? But a lot of them end up just in cishet relationships. A lot of them you'll be in the girl group talking with the married women, and they'll be like, I probably shouldn't say this on stream, but a lot of them will be like, yeah, I married a man, I'm happy, but if this didn't work out at any point, I don't think I would go back to men. Um, but again, it's another thing that happens in like the lesbian community too. A lot of like a lot of there's a lot of lesbian femmes that you don't realize are lesbians because they're so feminine presenting, because it allows them to blend into society, right? And it's kind of funny because they're usually the ones who wear the pants. I'm the odd exception where I'm like I'm more of a I'm an athletic femme, but like I'm definitely more of a soft femme as opposed to to like a more dominant, like want to be in charge femme. I want to be a passenger princess, but yeah, I did CrossFit. I trained for CrossFit for a while, so but I gained a ton of weight. Like I am not fit. Like I was like super fit like before COVID. No, no, we're not gonna do that. That is like that is a part of my body I have issues with. When I did it for sport, it was different because it was to achieve a goal. But yeah, but again, a lot of like a lot of like the femme presenting lesbian women, they are actually the ones who wear the pants, which is the funny part, and the masks are the soft ones. But a lot of them you don't even realize are lesbians. So there's a lot of like queer flag when you're in the lesbian community, you notice it, but most straight people don't notice it. And so there's a big aspect of you'll see occasionally like a femme woman who will do like a side shave or an undercut or something, or like do a short haircut, and that's always a shock for them because then they stop getting treated like they're straight, you know. And a lot of times when that happens is when you see them kind of like, if they're bisexual, they'll kind of go back into that's just like it's more normal relationship because they don't want to deal with that negativity, you know. And it's not as bad out here in California, right? Because I live in San Diego, and San Diego's a little red, but in general, California has good protections. It's, you know, more accepting in general. But like if you live in like a red state, like think about that, you know, like I grew up in Florida. When I grew up in Florida, it was a purple state. Florida is not a purple state anymore. Florida is red. Like I have like issues like when I go to Florida, right? Vermont, you know, Vermont and also Maine actually has a pretty big Sapphic community, surprisingly. For as small as like Maine is, like from population wise, they actually have a pretty big Sapphic community. Um, but yeah, no, but you know, it's interesting being in the Sapphic community because of especially as I get older now. It just sucks because I'm aging out of the group that I can have the kids with. You know, it used to be I was, you know, dating around the same time. Now it's like I've got to date younger, and I don't like that. Like, that's kind of like men tend to be more okay with that. Women tend to like not like that as much. It tends to still happen where you get age group like dynamics in the lesbian community. Um, but it's kind of one of those things that people aren't really that comfortable with in general, and it's just, but it's just the community is so small, right? It goes back to the community is so small that eventually, what are your options, right? So yeah, but uh, anyways, I've gone on way longer than I should have. I should have ended this a long time ago. Thank you all for the follows, rookie. Glicone, thank you for following. Smoke, feel free to give me a follow if you want or not. Um, yeah, that's very true. Um, but you know,
Thanks for the follow, Smoke 1QU.
some
Chloe
people
just got a
some
vocal
people
treat.
are looking some people are looking for that. Two girls. Hey, how are you? I'm about to get off. Am I talking to Kool Aid or am I talking to Capri? I'm assuming Kool Aid, right? Because you're on my time. I actually ended racing about an hour ago, and we got into like my girl lore. We got into my girl lore. I figured because she's on the East Coast. Yeah, we got into my girl lore. We're not gonna stream tomorrow. I switched my racing data today because I'm gonna do trivia tomorrow with my girlfriends. So the girl group, not like my, I'm single AF. but but uh but yeah, no. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the lore. For all the new followers, again, we build airplanes on Saturdays. Sundays we do typically a NASCAR race, not always, but we typically do a NASCAR race for the NIS series while it's going on. And we do Switch Sundays where we challenge ourselves to play a some kind of Switch games. The current game on the Switch 2 is Mario vs. Donkey Kong, where we're trying to 100% so get all the stars in Mario vs. Donkey Kong. So that's what we're currently working on. I think the next game after that game, which will probably finish sometime mid to end of August, will be will be Zelda Echoes of the Kingdom or Echoes of Wisdom or something. Which one? It's a game I picked up that I haven't beat yet, that I haven't even played. So I think that's gonna be the next one. And then Wednesdays are typically when we do racing, other than the one week a night where we do trivia. And Thursdays are viewer request night. I play with viewers. So two girls, if you guys want to hop on and do some arc on the new patch, we're gonna do that Thursday. Otherwise, I know you guys are doing your thing. I'll try and catch some of your streams. Maybe Friday while I'm working. We'll see. But yeah, that's our typical schedule. Sometimes we don't build on Saturdays. Like I said, soccer games interrupt things, and if we're doing like a long distance endurance thing, because we typically do the 12 and 24-hour races and the NEC races. NEC is the Nürburgring Endurance Challenge. I do that with one other person, and Oh no, for sure, girly. Like do you? That's why I gave you a follow. We're trying to like get you up. We gotta get you to that. We gotta get you to 500. I'm shooting for 750. We're doing a Steam giveaway when we hit 750. When we hit 750 followers, we're gonna do a Steam giveaway. We'll do the month when we hit 750 followers. We'll start a giveaway where people can enter, and then we'll do a raffle at the end of the month. When we hit 750 followers, and then we're probably gonna do the same thing at 1,000 followers. But yeah, Chloe gets treats on subscriptions, and I've got to run. That's the stream schedule. Y'all have a great night. Take care. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being amazing, and I will see you all on Thursday. Okay, bye. Somewhere there's an end screen, I swear. Yeah, good night, everyone. And we'll just let the gift subscription scroll before we end, and we'll call it there. All right, take care.